Hi guys, today I wanted to take a brief moment to dive in and talk all about the human design planets. I recognize that that's definitely a question that comes up when we're looking at our chart and we're seeing kind of the numbers and the little symbols. And so I wanted to break it down just a little bit more in depth because these are the things that make you really unique. These are the things that make you stand out even more. And when I talk about like how deep human design goes, it's beyond just your type and your strategy and your authority. It's even down to what is your purpose, what grounds you, those sort of things. And so let's talk about how the planets work. So the planets at the position that they're in at the moment of your birth and that approximate 88 days or 3 months prior to your birth is what activate or defines different charts, gates, and different channels and gates in your chart. The symbols on the human design chart represent the planets. So those are on the left and the right-hand side. You'll see like the red ones, you'll see the black ones. And essentially the planets influence how you play out different aspects of your chart, depending on what gate number is next to them. And this overall is what makes you unique. So that probably sounded like a mouthful, but don't worry, we're going to dive in. So let's look at this chart. So let's say, for example, the right up here, those all of these are planets. So right here on the left-hand side where it's red, and right here on the right-hand side where it's black, those are planets. We have both the mind side and the body side, okay? And each of these planets means something different. So this top planet up here is the sun, and we'll talk about the meaning of it. Then right here we have the earth, and then so on and so forth. So it kind of goes down even further. So when we're looking at the chart, then right here, these numbers underneath that determine an even greater meaning. So let's take the earth, for example. The earth means what grounds you, what you need in order to be stable and to feel grounded. And if you look, there's a 16 and a 40, all right? These things speak about what grounds you, and I'll explain it even more in depth. And this is actually my chart, so I'll explain it using my chart, and then you'll have time to kind of explore and dive in with yours. So here's a list of all the planets. If you're looking at it, there's the sun, there's the earth, there's the moon, there's the north node, the south node, the Mercury, the Venus, the Mars, the Jupiter, the Saturn, the Uranus, the Neptune, the Pluto, and the Chiron. And the Chiron's not on all of the human design charts, but that may be on some of them. So I don't think, yeah, mine stops at Pluto. But if you look here, so the sun is this circle with a dot in it. Let's go back, circle with a dot. The earth is this circle with like a cross in it. Circle with a cross in it. The Pluto is this like P with this weird like line under the bottom, and that's the Pluto. So that's letting you know what each of those planets' symbols look like, okay? So when you're looking at your chart, you're going to be paying attention to these numbers as well as these symbols. So that way you can understand. So for example, my sun right now is what's being circled on the screen. So we have a 9.3, which is the unconscious side, and a 37.1, which is the conscious side, okay? And my sun is what I'm here to give the world. That is my purpose, okay? For the sake of this lesson, we are only going to be paying attention to the number ahead of the period, okay, the number ahead of the dot. So we'll pay attention to the 9, we'll pay attention to the 37. The numbers after that are based on the hexagram. So for example, you'll see here, I have a 37.1. That 0.1 is the part of the hexagram, and anything after the period is going to be numbers 1 through 6, okay? So the most common place that you already are probably familiar with the hexagram is your profile. So I'm a 1-3 profile, you might be a 4-6 profile, but these hexagrams actually appear on a deeper level on your human design chart right here in the planets, okay? And just based on like when you're learning about these little hexagrams or these numbers have different meanings, but very similar to the profile. So like the 1 is still the investigator, the 2 is still the hermit, the 3 is the martyr, the 4 is the opportunist, the 5 is the heretic, and the 6 is the role model, okay? But again, we're going to pay attention to the numbers right before that. So let's talk about the meaning of each of these planets, because each of the planets are telling you something about yourself. And that's what I love about them. So your sun is that's showing you your core energy, your life force, your purpose, okay? The earth represents that balance, what's balancing you, what's grounding you. And it's also this like motherly energy, okay? Then we have the moon. The moon is what's showing us what drives you, what moves you. We have the North Node, which is all about what's guiding you towards your higher self. And then we have the South Node, which indicates past direction or environments. Okay. So that's where we've lived in the past, things we've gone through in the past. Okay. Then we have the Mercury, and Mercury influences your communication and your thinking, and it reveals what you most need to communicate during your life. Then we have Venus, which is all about your values. Okay. It shows you that moral compass, as well as things that can cause some friction, like things that come against your values. Next up, we have Mars. Mars shows you the areas of your life where you have great energy. It's super powerful, but on the flip side, it's also actually really immature. Okay. So you want to make sure to use this energy correctly, because when it's channeled, it can be really powerful and really intentional. And it's really, that's a place of, Mars is like a big place of personal transformation and growth. Then we have Jupiter, and Jupiter is the second most powerful influence over us, okay? After the sun. The sun has the most powerful influence. And Jupiter determines the rules of what's correct for us and what's incorrect for you, okay? So like your personal rules. Then we have Saturn. Saturn is all about discipline and like upholding integrity. Okay. Saturn is like what's telling you what's right and when you're living out of accordance with your design. We have Uranus, which points you towards like your expansion, your weirdness, what makes you creative or innovative or quirky, it's your expansiveness. Then we have Neptune, which is the illusion about what remains veiled, meaning it's all about this spirituality piece, what you've got to surrender. And it has a lot of magic and power there as well. Then we have Pluto. Pluto has, it's like this transformative energy. It brings forth truths and it brings forth things to your subconscious that need to surface. Okay. It's about finding like the light in the darkness, which is all about expansion. It's all about challenge. It's all about expansion and challenge for this particular generation. And it's where we evolve, where we transform, where we release, and where we essentially have this like rebirth. Then we have Chiron, which is the wounded healer. So it's part of your life and spiritual purpose. And then after 50, if you're already over 50, so if you were born before 1978, Chiron is your spiritual challenge. If you're born after 1978, it's your life and spiritual purpose, and it's the wounded healer overall. Okay. So these are the meanings of the planets. The way that it works is you essentially, when you're looking at your chart, we have the conscious and the unconscious side. So on the left side, you'll notice that's red, that's the unconscious side, and on the right side, that's black. The red side are the gates that are more subliminally played out in your life. You have them, but you don't recognize them. Other people may see them in you, versus the right side is these are the traits that are more obvious and you're more aware of these, okay? So what I'm going to show you, I want to break it down, because what you're going to do is when you pull it up, you're going to pull up someone's chart. And let's say we're looking at mine and we have the this top gate, which is the sun gate, the outer expression of what you're here to give the world. The unconscious side, what other people are seeing, the parts that are subliminally played out in my life, is the 9 and then the 37. So if you look at your Designed to Elevate workbook and you kind of scroll down, this is like your manual, and you scroll down, this also tells you kind of each of the planets, the symbols and the planets. So 9 is one of them. So let me go to gate 9. Gate 9 is the gate of detail. So this means that I am very, it's funny, they always say this is also the gate of like, it plays out as like obsession or like ADD or ADHD, but that's me. I have this obsessive behavior to be focused, to be detailed about what it is that I'm doing. I might come up with an idea and I can't stop thinking about it. I remember when I started my personal development journey, that was my sole focus. I was like, man, like it is so important for me to learn this, for me to take it in, to know these things. And as you see, gate 9 is also really important that I learn, that I'm learning and taking in logic. Okay. So this is part of my purpose, is being detailed and having that focus. Then on the other side is 37. So we would go, now this is going to be the side that I feel more, I sense more, I know more. So then gate 37, oh, there. I need to highlight that. So gate 37 is the gate of friendship, okay? And it's all about community. And it's always this desire to be a part of the community. And they say that people with gate 37 are like almost like the glue, like bringing the community together. And so with my gifting of being detailed, of being really focused, of being like almost obsessively learning new things, I can be able to be the glue to bring the tribe together, because that is my ultimate desire, okay? So that's my way of like interpreting my purpose, by kind of explaining those gates and going into depth. You can take it a step further, and I'll just do one more. Let's do gate 40. And this is my earth gate, which is what's grounding me, what's keeping me stable, what's keeping me grounded. This is actually one of my favorite ones. So I remember this one because I remember learning it, and I'm like such an introvert. And I'm like, that makes sense. So gate 40 is the gate of aloneness. And I'll go back to it when my screen stops acting funny. Yep, gate of aloneness. So for me, what grounds me is, like, I want to help people. I want to bring the tribe together, but what ultimately grounds me is when I'm in alignment with my strategy and authority, but I'm alone and I'm able to take that in. That's letting me know what grounds me, okay? And then on a subconscious side, it's gate 16. And so this is, again, I may not feel it consciously, but other people may sense it, or it may kind of just be in the background. But again, that gate of skills, I desire to express these different skills that I have, okay? So that essentially is how that would be interpreted. Really quick, what I like to do is I went in and I did my whole incarnation cross. So I did my conscious sun, my conscious earth, my unconscious sun, and my unconscious earth. So I did these 4 things when I was studying human design. And I dived in to talk about the gate of aloneness, the gate of skills, the gate of working for people, and all of these things and what it meant. And I broke it down to like really go into detail to really understand my purpose and how to stay grounded in my purpose. So what I would actually challenge you to do is I would challenge you to do the same thing. I would challenge you to, again, break this down. So look at these different meanings. Maybe you want to know what are some of your values. Maybe you want to know the truth about it. Maybe you want to know what's expansiveness, or maybe you want to know what grounds you. Break your chart down, pull up your chart, look at it, and pay attention to these different gates and understand what they mean, and then determine how they're showing up or how they're, playing out in your life. Okay. Remember, we have that unconscious side where we're not as aware of them. They play out more subliminally. And then we have that conscious side where we're more aware and they play out. All right. So what I'm going to challenge you to do is practice these planets. Take some time to explore your gates and the meaning they have for you and how they show up in your life, because the more embodied you feel with them, the more you can actually begin to weave this into your work that you do with your clients. I had a really cool session this morning with a client, and we were talking about her purpose, and it was perfect timing, because one of the things she had been struggling with is that she was trying to do all of these things. She had like 15 different ideas of things that she wanted to implement and showcase and share, but she was so overwhelmed. And we realized that part of her purpose was really narrowing down and finding her passion, and then being skilled. She also had the gate of skills, being skilled around that particular passion, not trying to take in so many things. And so using human design was such a great tool to help her now be in alignment moving forward, to narrow down what aligns, if that makes sense. So once you understand your gates and you really have a good understanding, you feel complete with them, you start to align with them, you use your strategy and authority to align and be intentional about embodying them, you can also begin to weave it into the work that you do. But it first calls you to practice with it. So I challenge you to take some time to explore your gates, the meaning, how they show up for you in your life, and how you want to align with them so that you can weave it into the work that you do as well. Let's make it a great day, guys. Talk to you soon.